Hello, on this video I'm going to go through a rebuild of this Hitachi Carburettor from my Virago XV1000. This is the one I've put together already. I'm going to do the other half on video and fasten them both together. I'll keep it as brief as I can, but it's just a brief reassembly video to help you get them back together. So let's crack on. So for this recipe you will need one carburettor, freshly cleaned. I've took everything off it other than the butterfly mechanism, which is nice and free, and the idle adjustment. The rest of it, it's been in the ultrasonic. It's looking a lot cleaner than it was, so we've got that. I've not replaced the diaphragm rubbers, reasonable condition, no holes in them, so we'll keep that as is. I'll just stand that to one side though, so it's not resting on the rubber. I'll replace the gaskets because they were shoddy, so I have a rebuild kit. This is just a cheap Amazon rebuild kit, and it's only for the float ball end, so it's come with 4 bolts for there. Let's check now. On the other kit the gasket was a bit off and I had to trim it, so yeah, you could see there that hole's in the wrong place a little bit, so I will have to just trim that to fit, and that's consequences of buying cheap kits. It's a bit snug, so really it wants to move the whole gasket about that way, a millimetre, so I'll just trim a bit out there, and then it sits alright as the other one did. In the kit from Amazon you get new needle valves and stuff. Now I wasn't impressed with the needle in it, so I'm going to use the original because I got a nicer seal on the one I've done, so we'll be using that. We'll be using the mixture screw. None of these jets, I'm not even sure what sizes they are, anything, they don't say on them, so we won't be using any of that. So that's just going to go in a little bag out of the way. If you can, do try and use original stuff, which is why I'm trying to keep as many original parts as I can. So we've got the choke adjustment there, so that's that spring's free at that end and that end, so that's your, not actually a choke, is it? It's enrichener. So I'm going to use that needle valve seat, and so I'm going to use my original little float there because they seem to sit nicer in there than the ones that come through the kit, and they seem to have a nicer seal as well. So that will be with that. The floats there, so that's all with that. I'm not overly impressed with this washer that's on here, but it's the one I've got and I don't actually have one the same size, so that'll do and we'll make it work. So let's crack on. Don't need that spring. Well, that's the float ball drain, so I'll just pop that in there with, let's see if I get the right screwdrivers for this job. Oh, that's never going to work, is it? Screwdriver, where art thou? Screwdriver. So that one is the float ball drain screw. I don't think that seats particularly well for the quality, but it does seal, so that's alright. That'll be going on later. Now, let's get all these parts put in. So, I'll take that float out of there for now. And there's a little mesh fuel filter there that screens your fuel as you go in, but I got a feeling that's a thicker mesh than the inline that I've got, but certainly no harm putting it on. And, now remember, these are soft metal. Don't nip them up that tight. I've done it up finger tight there, and then that'll do. You know, I did maybe what was that, a sixth of a turn maybe. Let's pop your choke in. Not a choke, fuel enrichener. A choke restricts air. Fuel enrichener adds fuel, achieving essentially the same thing, richer mixture, but there is a difference. Again, soft metal, don't overdo it. Have a feel, tight enough, happy. Main, I've gone through this, all these little holes are all clear, everything's been blown through, it's all lovely and clean, and it goes in from above. Now my fat fingers don't fit down there, but if you're a bit accurate you can drop it in, keep your finger on it on that side so it doesn't slide out, put your washer on, put your jet on. Now again, these jets are not the right size. Somebody's fiddled with it. It's got 126s in both carbs, which isn't ideal, but it's what I've got to work with, so that is what it is. Now next, this had like a blanking cap on there to stop you adjusting. And that's probably because it's a California bike. I think they're quite strict on emissions, even back in '84, so you couldn't adjust your mixture. It was set at factory and that was it. So I managed to get the cap off and the mixture screw, so hopefully this is showing on camera. That ease it on, you've got the spring and a little washer, and then your little rubber seal on there. I'll drop that in there. You want the widest screwdriver you've got that doesn't foul the edges. So I did the other one because it's a mixture screw. Now when I took them out, one was screwed fully tight and one was just rattling loose like it, I don't know, a bit weird. So this one, I'll do the same as the other one. Don't do these tight. You go gently down, gently, 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 basically till your needle touches the end of the passage, and I can see there that we're straight across. So if I do half one, half two turns out, and we'll adjust from there later on. Now I'm going to do that gasket now. I'm going to trim that. I'll do that off camera because there's not a lot of point you watching me just trim. I'll just show it afterwards. Okay, so I've trimmed, let me get close up here, let's have a look. Can we see it? I've trimmed a little bit there and a little bit there, and it helps it just sit nice. So that's good. We're in. Next job. Now take note, your floats, the bulkiness of your floats goes into this void here. You know, this is where it sits. And when you adjust the level of fuel in your float bowl, it's by bending this tang. This little valve needle goes on that tang into the valve, and that's how your float works. It's that easy. So get that in there. There we go. Put the shaft in. fits in. There we go. Don't worry about it sliding out, because this bit of the body on there stops it going anywhere. Now at this stage I like to just test the flow. So if I blow down the fuel pipe hole, yeah, that's definitely sealing off. So we've got everything in there. Now in the Haynes manual, the Pilot also had a different jet on it and stuff, but this one's just come like this. So I don't know if that's a generic Haynes picture, but it is what it is. So we'll get this cover on, this float ball, nip these down, 4 new screws. They've got spring washers on them. And they are JIS. I'm going to mention this in every video until people stop stripping them. They're not Phillips, they're JIS. They're a different shape. If you're trying to undo a JIS screw that's tight with a Phillips screwdriver, chances are you're going to pop out the hole, damage the head, and have a bad day. Now later on I'm going to have to adjust fuel levels, which is going to mean taking these balls off and a bit of trial and error. When I'm finally done, when I put that gasket in for the final time, I'd like to put a bit of grease on both sides, thick grease, just so they don't weld themselves to the bowl, so 2 or 3 years time when you take it apart, that gasket comes out nicely still. So, top end. So my slide fits in there, line that up down the needle. Now there's got a, so I'm just saying it, I should show you, shouldn't I? Make sure that goes in there, because if you miss, you're not going to get it in. Whereas once it's in, sweet. And that should be free moving, no binding there. Now a little trick here, I didn't need to do it on the last one, but we'll see on this one. You need this, the edge, it's got a thicker rim on the edge there, and it sits in this groove here, and there's a little locator there. Now sometimes, especially when they're new, they can be really hard to get to sit in this little ridge, and sometimes I found just applying a bit of grease just sort of makes it stick like glue. What you don't want to do is when you put your cover on, you don't want to nip it or throw the lid around. Right. So what I'm going to do now is feel it down and make sure we're not nipping anywhere. Now if you get it all in position, you might find that when you take it off to check it, it stays there instead of moving. You'll know when you get it right. I think it was right first time actually, because I took it off to show you. It's gone out of line again. I think we're there. It's not quite sitting at that side. There we go. I feel like that's gone right there. So what I tend to do then is get one screw in one side, again I'm going to put some new screws in these I think, but right now this is what I've got, because they are so chewed up that you can't actually use the Phillips part, well not Phillips part, the JIS part. You've got to use the slot because they've been chowed. So what I tend to do is just put one in one side and then go opposite side, because I'm still holding that right now. This is sprung with that long spring. If I let go of that, it's going to want to try and climb up. If you just put two opposite ones in, like that. Yeah, these screws are a mess. I tend to put Allen key ones in. Allen key ones are then, if you want to do something on the bike, quite often you can get to it with an Allen key, whereas you can't get to it with a screwdriver. That's not quite lining up. I'll just give myself a bit of loosen half a turn off. You see it's not quite lined up there. There we go. And we're in. Okay, so everything's on there. What we need to do now is put these two carbs together. So there's linkages in between them. Let's get this one, and they face opposite ways obviously when they're on a bike. So I need to remember how this went together, because I've got to be honest, I can't remember right now. That was it. I remember taking it over like that. I rotated them off so I could get these together. Let's see. So that goes on there. But there is pieces. Hit me pieces. I'll get them all out and show you. So there's Can we see them on camera yet? Good. So, by my reckoning, that should be on first, that should be on second, that should be on third, and then that, and then the little washer, and then the E-clip, which, lick my finger, can't even pick it up, there we go. And for my next trick, I'm going to just try and squeeze that on without sending it across the old shed quarters. Oh, look at that first time, probably not in groove. And then we rotate them around, and what you see then is these little locating bits slot together like that, and then there's several other parts which I'm going to come to in a second. So you've got that which holds your throttle cable, you've got one of these that sits on somewhere here that way like that, and then the main one sits on these two, there's two big bolts here. So if we go there, that doesn't feel right, maybe it's that way. Let's have a look. That's why, because we're not in as locatey bits. There we go. See how that just dropped together there. So which way around does that go? Get my locatey bits in, come on. I'm just wondering, because it's not quite symmetrical, is it? It's got a lip on it. Does that have to go a specific way? I didn't take note of that when I took it off. Come on, locatey bits, get in. Right, I'm going to say that seems to sit nicer that way, so we'll go with that. I should have took note when I took it off, but oh, it says there, F there. That'd be front and rear, so it is noted. So on the bike, that is the right hand side. I know that because it's got the throttle cable, so that's my right hand side of my bike, and that means that feeds the front cylinder. So that's the front. So this has got an F on it, goes to this one. F there. We got there eventually. Now I've got some screws down here. Pretty sure they were what came out of there. Had to get it wrong. There's not that many screws left. So before I get the second screws in, I need to make sure that's all located again, like that. It's not always necessary to take both your carbs off each other. If you've got a cleaner that's got a big enough basin to do both at once, then that's alright. You could just leave them fastened together, but there was a lot of crap down the inside of there on these I wasn't happy with. So that's why I took them apart. And also the ultrasonic that I borrowed is not that big, so I'm not going to fully tighten these up yet. Just nip them up because I'm going to make sure I've got enough wiggle room on the top end to get that other piece in. Where's that other piece? It's not that one. There it is. So you can see now the other piece just goes under the bolts that are on there. Gotta go that way up into it. There we go. So take that one off. Gently does it. These are not good bolts. In fact, I'm even out. Any room? The reason I'm kind of fiddling like this is I didn't really want to remove these two and have all the pressure on them two, but it's not gonna fit. So I'll undo this one, but keep pressure on the cap because I don't want that diaphragm slipping under the edge. Because with hindsight and being organised, I should have put these on last, but you know, where's I find that? There we go. So we'll have that on there. Boom, boom, go. Beautiful. So a little test. No, nothing moves. No, it does. It does move. It's just stiff. It's not stiff. It's just springs. Okay. Now I didn't remove any of this balancing mechanism between the two carbs when I took them off. The only thing that might have moved is that. That's your throttle idle adjustment. There's also one on this side, but that's locked with a nut there. That one's not moved, but this one turns, so it's possibly moved. Anyway. So it's quite a strong spring on these, but there is no spring on the actual handlebar, so that compensates for that, I suppose. Both sliders are running free, all butterflies are turning. Then finally at the end you want the choke, and the choke is just this piece of metal here that pulls up on there. Not a great design, to be honest. So on the bike, throttle's that side, so the choke lever is that side. So that one goes under there and fits there. That's it. And pulls that one. Now, if I preemptively put the top on too soon, or I just slide that through there. No, that's not going to fit through there. Right, so we'll get this linkage out of here and put it through. It's funny, the one in my hand's come off now. So that's going to go that way around, and that one's going to go that way around. So we'll slide them under each side there, and they're held with these bolts and a little E-ring on the end, which is smaller than the last one, so that should be even more fun to get on. Now I'm going to say that needs to go through from that side, otherwise I can't reach anything. Wow, that's small. And I've dropped it, which is one good reason that I work over this tray, because I've lost many a part on this floor before I decided to discipline myself with the tray. Is that gonna just pop on there? Come on, you can do it. Yep, that's on. Beautiful. Made it look easy, that didn't it? Made it look easy. And then this one on here. So which side? We're gonna have to go from that side on this one. Can't find the hole, madam. Oh look, that'd help if I got it under the choke. Do not copy me. I can't hold that. I can't get my fingers there to hold it. So let's use some curvy pliers. There we go. Wiggle, wiggle. Wiggle, wiggle. The E-clip is on top there. And then it should, in theory, push down. There we go. E-clips in. So now when you pull for choke, oh, that's stiff. I don't like that at all. And it wasn't great, to be honest, when I took it apart. Is that fully returning? Yeah, they're returning. It just feels wrong, you know. It just not as smooth as I like. But it's working. You can see both of them are going up. It's not fouling or anything. It just isn't as smooth as I'd like it to be. So there we are. They're back together. The only thing I haven't put back on is this throttle cable holder. Now that goes, get it right, it sits that way. So it fastens on to something which I can't bring my brain to see. What's up here? Was that on there? I don't think that was on there. Was that on there? Oh, maybe it was. Yes, right. So that sits there under that screw. So then your throttle cable fastens in here and pulls from here. So I'll pop that screw out. And it's done. I'm saying it's done. I've not tested yet. So my next job, I will mount the carbs in on my bench and fill them with fuel, and I'll be seeing where my float balls are sitting by using a piece of clear pipe, the clear pipe method. Because my carbs are a bit rough, one of them doesn't drain, I'll have to do one, set it nicely, and then I'll swap the bowls around so I can drain and check the other. But these things are sent to testers. 100% happy with that, but it's functional. Because on this bike the cable's been removed for the choke, so you do have to just reach down with your left hand, because I sit that way on the bike when I'm riding, so you reach down with your left hand and just pull that forward while you start it and hold it for as long as you need a bit of choke, which is not ideal, but let's get an MOT on it and get riding it before winter is upon us. Now, I did say earlier on the video not tightening them up until I got the top bit on. Ta-da! Happy, happy, sweet. That's enough for today, and tomorrow I shall test the fuel levels. So that's it. Hopefully that will help somebody put one back together. If you want a teardown video, you can see my video elsewhere where I took these apart and sort of inspected everything that was going on in there. They're considerably cleaner than when we started them, aren't they? So hopefully that will get a nice running bike. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, things that, you know, clicky things that YouTubers say, all that stuff. Bye bye.